So electric vehicles, it's really cool to see them value like technical excellence as well as sustainability. So working on industry level work, trying to reach levels of autonomy that other companies haven't even reached yet. Beating Tesla's efficiency levels by like 4 or 5 times our last competition. This is
Welcome back to Coding Classes, the show where I teach you how to level up your coding journey. I'm Lynn Chirellis, and today I'm sitting down with Ruth Taddesse, a computer science student at Cornell who's already making waves in tech and the sustainability world. From building data systems for Cornell's electric vehicles to also interning at companies like Niantic or Jane Street, Ruth is exploring how technology, identity, and innovation intersect. We'll talk today what it means to be a woman of color in engineering, the future of electric vehicles, and how community can drive change in tech spaces. And you guys know I love to talk about community. Okay, so here we go. Welcome to the show. Yeah. So we know that you are a CS student at Cornell University. So I just wanted to ask you, like, how did you get into tech and like what drew you to computer science, especially at the Cornell, which is notorious for being one of the hardest computer science programs in the country?
immigrant parents, what's up. They're always like pushing you to go towards those very difficult fields. And for a while, I was all for it. I always was someone that wanted to be in space to help people. Especially the Ethiopian community is very well known for like being very close knit, even with a lot of people you don't know. So for me, I specifically was thinking about being a pediatrician for a while. But while I was in middle school, I was very fortunate enough to take computer science classes. So nothing too crazy at that level, but I did get to learn a bit of programming, a bit of Python. And I thought it was really cool. Once I learned like the syntax and semantics and just the rules of a certain language, I literally could make whatever I wanted. And I wasn't making anything crazy. Again, like I said, I was writing like, oh, hello world, put in your name. It's like, oh, hi, name, nice to meet you, that kind of thing. But I thought even at that time, I was like, this could really be applied virtually anywhere. Like whether I wanted to go into the medical field, I could apply tech there, or in finance, business, media, entertainment, any kind of field that I found interest in, I was able to apply this kind of skill. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep checking this out, keep learning different programming languages, and then by the time college applications came around, I was like, yeah, this is the path for me. It's really fun. And while I've been here at Cornell, it has been very difficult, but I've also been able to find such amazing people, especially other underrepresented people in tech that have supported me along the way. So many great people, not only other students, but higher up staff, professors that have really seen the potential in me and have helped me grow. So I've really enjoyed it here so far.
I love that. And as I said like earlier, community is definitely my thing. And when it comes to community building, I know how important that was for me in like my tech journey and how I kind of developed as a person entirely. So I kind of wanted to dive like deeper into that sentiment of like having mentors. So like what were your mentors like? Did you have mentors like earlier in school when you were like maybe going like during your high school transition from high school to college when it comes to computing? Or did you more gain that like level of mentorship specifically for computing once you were in college?
Yeah, I'd say it was definitely more in college. I think while I was in middle and high school, I wasn't around a lot of people that look like me, especially in the programs I was in. And not to say that Cornell has the best representation ever either, but I definitely saw a lot more representation here. And even early on, I didn't even have any specific mentors, but just seeing other people within engineering, because I'm in the engineering school here, as well as within computing specifically, seeing them thrive, get into crazy project teams or clubs or in industry breaking to the most amazing companies, just seeing that and witnessing that like firsthand showed me that it was really possible. And then now, like from my position, just having that motivation, I've been able to kind of reach that level as well, which is crazy. I still can't even believe that I'm a junior and there are people looking up at me now. But I really try to give back in that sense because I remember how confused and lost I felt internally, and it's not something that you can easily share with other people. I think that's something I struggled with. So that is some advice for people who are looking for mentors, like just reach out because people won't always be able to help you if they don't really need help. So I think that's something I actually wish I did better at, like reaching out and finding mentors. in the first place.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Like, again, like that sentiment of like closed mouths don't get fed is like so
Mm-hmm.
important. Like,
Right.
how can people know that you need help if you're not saying you need help? We can't read your mind.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So I really like on that note, I kind of wanted to talk about like your position in the underrepresented minorities in computing, correct? At Cornell?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. And you are co-president, right? So
Yes.
how does that role kind of like impact your view on tech and like how you like to give back to your community?
I could talk about URMC like forever. Oh my goodness. I think actually to give like a bit of history, a lot of people are very familiar with ColorStack, which is like a national organization more dedicated to supporting minorities in tech. But fun fact, you know, the OG chapter is low-key URMC because the person who started ColorStack is a Cornell alum who was involved in URMC. And in general, like
Mhm.
URMC has a very similar mission to support ethnic minorities in technology, and we have kind of three pillars: make support, community building, and professional development. So we really try to support anyone interested in computing at all, whether that's someone specifically looking to get a computer science degree or just in general kind of exploring it through another field such as electrical and computer engineering, information science, cognitive science, these sort of things. But we try to support them like completely within their kind of student and professional lives because we don't always need help just reaching out to a company or passing this class. We also just need that community in general. So when I came to Cornell, I remember going to their first event, actually, their first like general body meeting, and just seeing this room full of people that looked like me studying the thing that I wanted to study, and it was extremely motivating. And I really enjoyed their events, so I kind of got involved first as treasurer, and but being on like e-board, the executive board, it was really great to see the behind the scenes, seeing people like really put in the work to host such amazing events throughout. We had like lots of great sponsors like Roblox, Figma, like Jane Street even at some point. And then having that academic support because of course at the end of the day, Cornell is a very rigorous institution. So helping out with those intro classes, making sure that we're helping people at that beginner level, and then study jams, socials. Our mentorship program is also a very big thing. So just all around, just kind of providing this community in all aspects to people. And then by the time like it came where they were thinking about, oh, who's gonna be the next president? I definitely wasn't considering it at first because I'm not actually a person that found myself, jumping to be in the limelight or like even talk like this. This is like still something fairly new to me. But at the end of the day, the mission of URMC mattered to me so much that I was like, okay, you know what? We're going to step up. So I started in January of this year, and actually my term is technically coming to an end in December. But it's been such an amazing experience being able to kind of help URMC move forward in the direction we envision it to. I'm working with the rest of our amazing e-board and also being able to grow myself, being able to communicate more effectively, work better with others, and in general be part of this really important mission. So URMC is literally everything to me.
I just like you can see that you're just so passionate about URMC, and I just
No,
think that
man,
that's
it's actually
so
amazing.
beautiful. And like that's just so great. And I want to know a lot more about what you do, like currently as like co-president to help your students. So like what are some of the things that you think have had the biggest impact on your members and helping like incoming or like not incoming, but current Cornell students further their careers in tech?
Yeah, no, that's definitely important. Honestly, even incoming students, like engaging with them, that's a big part of what we do, outreach. But as for my role and kind of the impact that I've been able to make, so I'm co-president along with one other person, and then we have our two vice presidents. So we help kind of oversee all the other people on eBoard. So the way it's kind of split up is by sub teams. So we have people leading or being chairs for academic, social, corporate, that sort of thing. So a lot of our functions are split up in that way. And then us as presidents and vice presidents kind of have a smaller group of sub teams that we manage. We make sure that we're checking in consistently for the sub teams that hold events to make sure that they're on the right track in terms of logistics, engaging with the right audience, and making sure that their events run well in general. And then also, I think something very important and something new that we're doing right now actually is this is the first semester that we're sending people to conferences. So a few of us did go to conferences in our first couple of years of being at Cornell, and we saw how impactful it was to be able to kind of step outside of school, be able to directly engage not only with potential employers, but also other students, especially conferences like the SHIPE conference or Afrotech, where it's specifically centered around your identity and seeing people that look like you in the spaces that you want to be in and you are in right now. We thought that was really important. So that was one of our biggest goals coming in, and we were able to achieve that. So literally next week, we're sending people to Afrotech and SHIPE for the first time. And it has been a long time coming in terms of getting funding, getting support, getting people to sign up, managing the logistics with booking flights and everything like that. But it has been absolutely rewarding, and I cannot wait to head over there next week with everyone else and just see, how it all pans out. And I'm sure that our members will do great. And that also, I have to say, includes not only just sending people there, but giving them the tools and resources they need to actually do well. So that's going over things like working with our professional development and corporate teams to help them connect with companies beforehand, or work on things like mastering their pitch or getting their LinkedIn and resume looking right before they interact with those people. So overall, it's been a really rewarding experience.
That is so awesome. That is like, guys, Afrotech is like, that is,
I'm so excited. It's
I know you're excited. It's the, I bet. Have you been to Afrotech before?
I actually haven't. I went to NSBE conferences beforehand, but my friends went last year and they said it was awesome. So I'm personally like ready to go. I wish it was right now, honestly. I'm already packing my bags, honestly.
Yay, I'm so excited for you. I love that. Can you speak a little bit more on your experience at NSBE and a little bit of context? NSBE is the National Society for Black Engineers, and a little bit about like your experience at the NSBE conference. Not only that, but also how NSBE is a little bit different from URMC.
Yeah, that's something that's pretty interesting. I think in general, actually, there's a lot of clubs that overlap in terms of like their audience and their mission. For example, NSBE is more geared towards like Black engineers, while URMC is more geared towards all ethnic minorities, but more specifically focused on the computing aspect. So you see a lot of members that are part of both, and I personally consider myself part of both. I think one thing is some people get really involved in one or the other, or even just like in general when it comes to clubs. That we also have like a women in computing club, as well as other kind of more general clubs that kind of tackle different groups here and there. So some people get more involved than others, but at the end of the day, we love to support each other and show up. As for my involvement in NSBE, I attended the regional conference, and then I actually got involved at the zone level. So that's kind of one step down for regional, but I was part of the upstate zone kind of e-board as finance chair. So I was kind of applying that treasurer skill from URMC up there, trying to get sponsorships for us as well. But I also love NSBE. NSBE is a great resource for any engineer, like not just interested in computing, but also like electrical engineering, mechanical, all of the above. And in general, anyone interested in STEM, I think they have a great offering, and like it's really great to connect with others, even outside of computing. So I really appreciate that aspect. And attending those conferences and being able to attend like the career fairs and the workshops did give me a lot of help at the beginning that I've been able to apply as I've interacted with companies and things like that. So it's definitely something I'll be taking into my experience at Acrotech. But you can't have just one. Like they're all there to support you. So it's been great being part of those.
That's so awesome. Like, guys, these like communities are just, I feel, so integral to people's continued success in a certain career, especially when we're talking about careers or life paths that have like harder like harder hills to climb when it comes to like gaining to get there.
Absolutely.
And so having those different paths that you're able to like use and lean on is just like my heart happy, because it's like, okay, you get to have an experience where you're able to ask other people how you were able to climb the hill. And I think that has been like also, like I said earlier, a really big part of why I continue to do computing, even though sometimes when you're looking for the semicolon in the middle of the night and you wondering why your code's not working, failing, what's going on? And you can call up a friend and they're like, you missed the semicolon and you don't have to use it. That's great. 10 out of 10 experience.
It's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to ask you, like, what do you think for you? I know for me, it's community that's been responsible for most of my success. So for you, what do you think has been responsible for your success or your continued interest in computer science and your education overall?
Yeah, to agree completely. Community and the friends that I've made, whether in computing or even outside of computing, have really carried me forward. I know I personally struggle a lot with imposter syndrome and anxiety from an early age. From those programs I was attending, again, I was like one of the few Black people there, let alone Black women. So seeing myself in these spaces, like it was clear to see sometimes the differences in background and the resources that people had. Oftentimes felt kind of unprepared for certain things. Like I was like, do I really want to go into STEM at all, let alone computer science? Like people have been doing competitive programming since like age 7. Like what business do I have here? And like even at Cornell, I see that difference a lot. There's a lot of people whose parents were like in STEM fields or like at these really crazy computing like companies, like freaking FANG people over here. Meanwhile, my parents just came here to give me a better life. And I feel like a lot of people share that sentiment. It's hard to see us in these spaces and continue to be in these spaces, and it can get very discouraging. So for me, what's helped is just having the most amazing friends and surrounding myself with the right people, whether that's both in the academic or in the professional sense, like having people around me who are committed to the same goals that I have and are willing to, tell me the truth in order to help me grow and push me towards where I want to be, as well as having those friends that are there to, sit next to you when you're crying after a bad exam or, a late night doing a problem set. Those are kind of the people that are going to get you to where you want to go. And it is hard to find them for sure. And you have to put yourself out there as well, which is why these clubs are important because, they also have a part in reaching out and making these spaces available. But then, yeah, even that person that you sit next to in class, like turning next to them. And sometimes, honestly, at Cornell, I don't know if this is just a Cornell thing or like it's probably a lot of places, but I feel like trauma bonding is really, really a thing here. Like, you really can just turn around to anyone after a bad exam and boom, you got like 10 new friends right there. And it's definitely like, not the best experience, but we make the most of it, is, I think, the case. But I really appreciate the people around me because when I get too into my head, they really, lift me up and remind me you deserve to be here. You're here for a reason and you can keep going. So shout out to URMC, NSBE, to my friends, to all of these communities that have made that possible for me.
I love that. So great to hear about that. And I want to kind of like explore more about like Cornell engineering, especially that like trauma bonding act that
Yo, it's
piece that
crazy.
you yeah. I bet it is. I bet it is so crazy. This year, if you guys are applying to Cornell and a bunch of other colleges like I am, you would have seen that Cornell Engineering School actually included a question which is like name list 3 words that you would use to describe Cornell engineering.
I
What?
vividly remember my 3.
You do?
Is
What were
that your
your 3
question?
now? Yes, and then update us. What would be your 3 now, looking back? What would be your 3?
This is so embarrassing. Wait, I'm pretty sure these are mine. We have sunshine. Oh, I wanted to highlight. I'm a fun person to be around. And then we got dynamite because explosive. We got the energy. We're pulling up and we're about to make an impact. And then the last one was just real. I keep it real. Now,
Mm,
who wouldn't let me in after that? Honestly, banging
fire
number 3.
combo.
Honestly, I don't know if I would change that, to be honest. I would just say now, burnt out, burnt out, burnt out.
Oh, oh no.
No, okay, I'm trolling a little bit. But actually, I feel like those do still describe me in a sense. I don't know. I wasn't even being serious, to be honest. But I feel like for me, when it comes to college applications or any other application, like I do really try to put in a bit of personality in there. Like sometimes
Mhm.
people keep it a little too profesh. Like you can throw some exclamation points, you can throw in a joke, because like at the end of the day, these people are reading a lot of applications. And as someone who's part of a project team, which I think we'll talk about later, I also read applications, and I know I definitely appreciate when I see that personality and humor from someone, because being part of like Cornell engineering or a team or like anywhere that you're applying to, like also involves interacting with the people there and like that community and collaboration. So being able to showcase that and like who you are as a person, I feel like that's the biggest part of written responses. So I was just like, whatever, man, I'm just gonna write this and we'll see what happens. So I guess it worked out.
Yep, I guess it did work out for you. That's definitely a combo that
It's
I'm
definitely one of the
about. I
combos of
was
all
thinking
time.
like, I don't know, maybe
It's so stupid.
innovation research.
Oh yeah. See, like for those, like there's the one that's like 3 words about Cornell engineering, and that makes sense. I think I threw in interdisciplinary, those words, and then they asked about me. I said I'm gonna keep it real. This is me.
Mhm.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
It's not crazy to do.
it's great. It's great. And I'm sure they definitely appreciated that because I don't know what I would do if I was sitting there reading, 17,000
Same,
essays
bro.
from everybody
Same.
talking about, them pulling their ACL sophomore year. Would not
Oh my
be
gosh.
a nice time for me. But
Oh my goodness. Yes.
yeah, but off the roof, rearing back into minorities and community and tech and intersection. I wanted to kind of go back and circle back to like kind of your earlier points of like not seeing yourself in tech and being like, dang, like why am I even here? There's like 17 other kids who's been programming since they came out the womb. Like I only just got started doing this, and it can be like a lot and be very overwhelming at times. So, other than that, like not seeing yourself in tech, what other challenges do you think you've faced as a minority in tech?
At the end of the day, it's hard. Computer science, STEM, it's difficult. Like it's difficult for a reason. Like it's not just you. Like if you think you're dumb or something like that, it's not even that. It's genuinely difficult. And I think the part of like identity that like plays a role in that is again going back to sort of that difference in resources and background. Again, like it plays a lot bigger role than you think. Like especially as I got to college and saw like very clearly the differences and where people were coming from, whether it's like financially or like just socioeconomically in general. Like a lot of people were preparing for this a lot earlier than like me or like other people. Like they had access to tutoring or these crazy programs that prepared them for certain things. And there's definitely a huge barrier in that aspect. So we're seeing a lot of things for the first time that a lot of other people haven't seen for, or we're seeing things for the first time that a lot of people have seen ages ago. Like you kind of saw it earlier with like SAT prep, things like that, and that kind of translates to whatever field you're in. And another thing is connections. I feel like a lot of people think of business and finance and those kind of fields as where connections matter, but even in like computer science or STEM, like for certain companies that are just so big and so desired, connections and referrals can really help you like get your foot in the door. So that's like another aspect where I can see a thing like all these people are getting opportunities and I'm not. What's going on? And you kind of look a little closer. It's not really about me. It's about a lot of other people having more like connections in that aspect. So having to accept that is very frustrating because it's like at the end of the day you can't do much about it. And it's I think something I've heard a lot about like minorities and whatever, but especially like something like STEM, like you're gonna have to go twice as hard, like push yourself above others just to like get your foot in the door, which yes, it's very frustrating. But unfortunately that just ends up being the case and being able to push through that is something that's difficult, but it just takes practice, I suppose, and just remembering like why you're interested in it in the first place. I think another thing is people sometimes just get into computer science for the money. And that's
Mm,
not crazy. There is definitely money there. And I'm not gonna say I don't like my money. I like my money. But if you genuinely don't enjoy it at all, then you're not gonna get far because it will get discouraging very fast. I think having that genuine interest is very important. And also applying that to other areas that you're interested in. Like you don't have to purely be doing leak code problems and like the traditional like software engineering route. I have a very good friend who loves bees and he was doing computer vision work for bees. Like you don't put those together but like he was interested in those two areas, so he combined them. And I feel like I always encourage people not to worry about getting into the most amazing companies or opportunities or like clubs, but instead find ways to apply like technology or whatever you're interested in to something else that like you really care about, because that's where your energy, your passion will really shine, and then that will like kind of take you in the direction that you want to go. So that's an aspect as well.
That's so true. And like I know from my experience, it's like part of that challenge in of like knowing that people have like years or over you when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
STEM is also kind of feeling like, dang, am I an idiot? Like half the time, or feeling
Right.
like, feeling almost like getting microaggressions towards when you don't understand something and then you ask about
Right. Oh
it
my goodness.
and just like this idiot doesn't get what I'm doing or
I'm saying, dude, like,
down.
no
And
respect.
yeah, it can be really tough, which is why I like always go back to the idea of like having a community who understands, okay, like we're all seeing this for the first time. We're all being put in this position. We're all like, okay, this is something new and this is something that we can overcome together. We're not all stupid. It's just a learning curve. And having that like growth mindset, I think is like so important to how people succeed, because I know for me, like I am not a genius by any stretch of the imagination, guys. I wish I was a genius every day. I pray that God sends me a brain as big as Einstein. Every morning I wake up, it doesn't happen. Okay, I keep moving on. But it's okay. I think that having that growth mindset is just like so horrendously like important to how you succeed, because you can outwork people. Like I know a lot of people think like talent and like, oh, just because they have years ahead of me, I'll never be able to catch up to them. It doesn't
Not at all.
outwork people. And when you kind of develop like a mindset of like, hey, you know what, even though I don't understand this, I'm gonna keep going and I'm gonna work till I get it. That's where the growth happens, and that's where you can change your perspective and change the field as a whole, because you're now adding on the knowledge that they have to your perspective, which is different than their perspective that probably has been the same perspective for what, 150 plus years. So
Yeah.
yeah, I with that, we're gonna move on to the next section about Cornell's electric vehicles, because I know I was very interested in that when I saw that was, oh, electric vehicles, okay. Like we're getting into Tesla, a little bit on, something EV. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, a bit of EV going on.
Yeah, what inspired you to get involved with that? And how did you like start?
Yeah, so a bit of context. Cornell Engineering has this really great program where there's a lot of project teams, and they're all student run. They like span across a variety of different fields. So there's racing teams or like vehicle teams. There's ones that are focused more on sustainability, some that build apps and websites for like the Cornell community. Like virtually anything you're interested in, they're there. So a lot of people, especially people in engineering, come in and they're like, yeah, I gotta join one. So I'm coming in freshman fall. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna join one. And for me, again, at this point, I kind of cemented my interest in computer science. So I knew I wanted to do something like programming software. But personally, I kind of wanted to, branch out, maybe not just be like looking at a computer all day, and kind of work on something more tangible. So I was kind of looking at these teams that were building like physical objects, but like did have a software side with them. So that kind of led me to Cornell Electric Vehicles. As I went to their info sessions and like talked with their like members and learned about their projects, I was like, yo, this is super cool. Because not only were they actually tackling sustainability through competing at the Shell Eco Marathon, they were tackling autonomy as well. Like they had two sides going on here. And it was very interesting to me seeing like the way the mechanical, electrical, and software teams, which both had like an autonomy and data side, the way they all collaborated and just how fun they were. I was like, yes, I want to be part of this. So I applied and I got in, which was super awesome. And since then, I've been involved on the data sub team specifically. That's kind of just been handling all the data coming off the car. We have a ton of sensors coming from the other sub teams. So getting that off the car while the car is moving, displaying it in a way that's useful for the rest of the team to see, and then giving them the tools they need to analyze that data so that they can keep improving on the car. So that kind of encompasses our goals. And I spent 2 years working on one of our dashboards, the dashboard that we have outside the car for the rest of the team. We also have one inside the car for the driver. And then I was like, you know what? We're taking it one step further. I'm going to become lead. So I'm lead right now, which has been really great. It's been great to interact even more with the other sub teams or the other leads as well. And just kind of work more on the vision for like what we want the car to look like. Seeing that collaboration happen.
That's amazing. 10 out of 10. I think that is so cool. And electric vehicles, guys. That is like...
It's actually tough. It's so cool. It's so cool. Like,
so
not to glaze my own team, but it's actually fire.
No, I totally agree. And I think that having kind of the perspective of like an underrepresented minority, especially in that field specifically, is really important. Especially now with what we're talking about with like current conversations in sustainability and how we're supposed to make electric vehicles more sustainable and not rely on like making electric vehicles out of like lithium batteries that are usually mined like unethically, and how that's impacting the earth in another way while we're trying to get rid of, you know, the problems that are going on like in our environment. So I think that electric vehicles are like, guys, I could go on and on about anything. You guys know this is a podcast. But that perspective is really important. So how do you also bring like your unique perspective to your sub team as project lead?
Yeah, so again, going back to the whole minority, the tech and STEM in these spaces, you can imagine, in general, Cornell engineering doesn't have the best diversity, so that kind of translates to the project teams. I know I was applying to these teams, and I was pretty aware of the fact that there weren't that many people that looked like me on any team, to be honest. So kind of looking for that community still was like a very difficult thing, because it was just like, I'm not really seeing it anywhere. But first, finding the people that I could see a community with was important. I definitely found that in CEV, and I've seen a lot of commitment to being very fair with the recruitment process. And I think that's something that was really important to me, especially now as lead. I am very involved in the recruitment process now, meaning the freshmen and upperclassmen that we recruit for the next year. And being able to provide my perspective in that sense, understanding what my experience was applying, as well as kind of what I've heard from other people, and making sure that there aren't any biases here and there that slip in, you know, because people sometimes genuinely don't know like how restricting they can be, if that makes sense. Like those microaggressions, the biases that happen just from their experiences, it can be very clear to us, but not to other people. So being in those spaces and being able to advocate and look out for, you know, my underrepresented people applying, I'm very glad to be in that space. Also, in general, I feel like my experiences from beforehand, like my passion for making a positive impact and kind of giving back to what matters most, like has helped me like make an impact on CV. What you were talking about with sustainability, especially now more than ever, is so important. So I was really looking for a place that valued that. So electric vehicles, it's really cool to see them value like technical excellence as well as sustainability. So working on industry level work, trying to reach levels of autonomy that other companies haven't even reached yet, beating Tesla's efficiency levels by like 4 or 5 times our last competition. This is very true. It's crazy stuff. And being able to be part of a team that like values that has been really great. And then bringing like my background as someone that has seen kind of like the impact of like having like not treating the environment well, or just in general not kind of valuing sustainability is very important. So there's that as well. But like I do have to give a shout out to the people on my team for being willing to have those conversations and being able to like just be very collaborative and receptive and open. So it's a two-way street, you know. I bring something, they bring something together, you know. The team, you know, moves smoothly.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think the whole Tesla effect, that guys, I can't just skip over that. That was
we're cooking over here.
smooth. That was smooth. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of dive more into like your sub team specifically. I know you earlier you mentioned like data systems, and I wanted you kind of like expand a little bit on how making those dashboards and making that information readily accessible to other parts of your team makes your vehicle more efficient or maybe like even more competitive. Do you guys race the vehicles or are they like,
Yes, we do.
yes,
We
you
do.
race them? Yeah.
Now I
So how
can, yeah,
more
uh-huh.
competitive?
Yeah, I could talk about this for ages because there's just so much that can go wrong. But specifically, wait, it's not a bad thing. We learn, we live and we learn.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that my team covers. So to go into more specifics, my sub team is called Data ANA. So applications and analysis, analytics, we switched up here and there. But again, working with everything data. So what that looks like, there's kind of three areas. We have data acquisition, visualization, and then analysis. So that data acquisition part is what I talked about with efficiently getting data off the car. And this is pretty difficult, honestly, because we're working hands-on with electrical and with help from autonomy and all the other sub teams to make sure that the data from their sensors are being extracted off the car continuously and efficiently. So, without wasting or losing data or anything like that. That's pretty hard to do, especially while the car is moving. And then transferring that data off is a whole nother beast. I can actually talk about a very specific problem we had recently. So again, we do compete in something called the Shell Eco Marathon. That's our main competition around spring. And that's more focused on, the electric aspect, the green aspect. And while we were there, that was where we placed fifth. We did really well, beating those efficiency levels. But because, we were able to push our boundaries and go so far, we, pushed our systems to the limits as well. And one thing we learned is originally we were sending data through a hotspot off the car to our dashboard that was a little further away. But we realized that the service there was actually terrible. And by the way, this is at the Indy 500 track. This is the real deal. But the service there was terrible. We were talking to Shell engineers and they were telling us that they were having issues. So if they were having issues, how are we as a student-led project team supposed to figure out what to do, right? So we had to come back to the drawing board post spring break. This is usually a time where things are wrapping up, but we had to answer a lot of questions about how our system was structured. And also, the hard question of how did we let it get this far? We're on the track and we're struggling to figure out how to get this data off. So it was admitting, yeah, okay, there's a lot of things that we can improve in terms of making sure we're testing our systems as rigorously as possible, and also considering all the different factors in terms of environment and things like that. Because these are very real things that you face in industry. So again, it's not bad to run into these issues. It's really important to consider these things. So as someone who was thinking about becoming lead and trying to get more involved, I had to step up in this regard, doing things like more rigorous design reviews when we were kind of pitching our ideas for the new systems, talking more with the other sub teams about what they were looking for, especially with that analysis aspect, which I think is something that we also disregarded at one point. So that's something new that we're working on as well. We have our dashboards, which we are, still kind of using our old dashboards, making sure that we're displaying that data once it's off the card. But also something cool that we're working on is what we call the cross-team analysis toolbox. And we're trying to make it pretty much a one-stop shop for all the other sub-teams to, upload their data or access it if it's already there, and just visualize it in a way that's useful for them. So to go into more depth with that, we have more static data that electrical and mechanical has, looking at battery levels or speed or RPM. They can visualize that in a graph, but we've given them a lot of functionality that they've asked for in order to kind of help them with their analysis. And then with autonomy, they have a lot of cool sensors that literally allow them to replay the race or the run at some points. They can visualize the objects around it through a combination of their very cool algorithms. So being able to have that, display as well is very useful for them. Being able to replay it, kind of scrub back and forth almost as if it was a video. It's really cool stuff. And just at the end of the day, serving the rest of the sub team through that data visualization and analysis is what we're so focused on. So making sure that we're getting that data as soon as possible, as regularly as possible, working with them to figure out, how do you want to see this? What is useful for you? How do you want to analyze this? Having those conversations. And then, we think we get a good sense of what they want. We create it and just continuously iterating over it. Our members have done a lot of great work over the past few weeks doing design reviews throughout the entire time. And yeah, at the end of the day, also having those backup, systems if things go wrong. I think one more thing I want to mention is with that data transfer, the solution we came up with, going back to like implementing industry level work, we're actually going to use Starlink, which is under SpaceX, one of their like actual like systems. We're using Starlink to send data, but one of our mentors has worked really great on a backup audio based system, because one thing we knew was we could like have phone calls, so we knew audio worked, and being able to like translate data into audio to send it over like audio waves to another computer is pretty difficult. But we've been testing that as well. And these are all things that we didn't even know were possible before. Like these are all very new things. So people are coming in, dealing with things they've never seen before. Again, like industry level work here. And being able to just do the research, put in the work, iterate upon like the different like prototypes. It's been really great to see. There's been like, exponential growth in the last few months. So yeah, again, I've been yapping about this for a while, and I could yap about it for so much longer, but it's been really great to see how everyone has been collaborating, and like I'm just so proud of the growth that we've done. I'm really excited to see how we do at the next competition.
Definitely make sure to send me an update, because now I'm invested. Now I'm like, yeah, like,
trust, you will be hearing
how you're fixing that problem, how you're getting that hotspot. If it wasn't working, now you're using the audio. Yes, like I want to.
Nah, it's crazy stuff.
So I'm definitely gonna have to. You're definitely gonna have to update me, because now I need to know. Like,
yeah, actually, one of our members, actually one of our leads, has been working on making like actual videos. So if you go to our Instagram, I think it's literally like Cornell Electric Vehicles. You can see videos from like competition, things like that, like really cute, fun little vlogs. I'm gonna try to get some more in there, if anyone wants to keep up. But yeah, no, it's been great to be part of it. Honestly, it's like such an honor.
That's so cool, and that is so amazing. And I really kind of love how you talk about how your team has like kind of grown and like growing that like problem solving skill and collaborating more, especially in like such a fast paced, highly like technical moving environment. Like,
yes.
That was a pun intended, guys. But anyway, like,
well, I didn't catch that. That was smart.
Yeah, pretty good. But how has like working on those types of teams taught you a lot about like collaboration and innovation, especially when we kind of mentioned earlier about like closed mouth not getting fed, and like coming in with like out a mentor and like feeling like, okay, like dang, I don't really know what I'm doing. So how has that kind of taught you about how you collaborate with people?
Right. I think I want to go back to something you just said now about like that problem solving, coming like face to face with these new problems, and also talking about how a lot of people have a lot of different experience coming in, and there's that kind of feeling of, oh, I don't know as much as everyone else, blah blah blah. And that's how I felt, coming in as a freshman, especially. I was like, what the heck do I know about, electric vehicles or any software related to it? How can I help? But I've seen during my time on the team that we're running into a lot of issues that no one on the team like foresaw. Like it's all new to all of us. Like there's no way you can come in with some coding experience, or like you made, I don't know, some random app, the weather app or whatever people make for their personal projects. But at the end of the day, you've never worked on something like that complex. So there's going to be a lot of problems that you run into. So being able to see that like face to face, just being thrown into those uncomfortable situations where it's like, oh, I virtually know nothing about how to deal with this, but also saying no one around me knows either. So that's where, the closed mouths don't get fed. Like you got to take initiative. You're going to have to do something about it. Like you can't just sit there and stare at it and be like, yeah, this isn't working. Oh, well, like, no, you're going to be like, oh, this isn't working. What can I do about it? So putting in the work with the research, being, willing to put your ideas out there is very, like, something that I found very difficult. Honestly, I probably could have gotten more involved earlier on if I felt more comfortable, putting myself out there and sharing my ideas. And it wasn't like because of the team, it was because of me. I was like kind of limiting myself in the sense that I was telling myself, oh, this is not going to be good, or I'm not going to do well, I'm going to embarrass myself, yada, yada, yada. And I didn't join conversations that I could have been part of. So definitely wish I got more involved there, but that was something I ended up recognizing, especially as we ran into this, very big issue. And like, we're starting to really reconsider how we were like running the whole sub team. It was like, okay, now I gotta get involved because this is the way I can leave my mark and actually learn a lot. So being willing to be in those uncomfortable spaces, putting yourself out there, making sure you have a good understanding of everything, not just because like, it's your work, but being able to communicate that with others is so important. Like it's important everywhere, no matter what you want to do in the future, whether industry, research, this, that, and the third, you're going to be working with other people. Having that experience with other students was really great, especially because, we all had our kind of different missions and goals. So we had to collaborate together to get this car running. And having that experience was really great as well. So I really do appreciate like being able to really get out of my comfort zone. I think this was the biggest thing that got me out of my comfort zone. And like literally freshman me would not be able to believe at all that I'm in this state. But yeah, again, testament to the team for being able to support me through that process, but it was also, a lot of pushing myself out there and just recognizing like another aspect is, okay, there's maybe not a lot of people that look like me in this space. I don't know if my ideas have any merit, but I'm gonna have to try. And even if it goes wrong or like not the way I want it to, I'm gonna learn and I'm gonna work and improve upon that. And eventually, I'm gonna figure out how to get through it, right? So that led me to where I am today.
That's awesome. And I think that there's been a lot of like kind of like focus on like your team and like just really like going into like how much your team has like helped you grow and expand your comfort zone. That is so beautiful. And I really kind of wanted to like ask like what has been like the most like eye-opening or like challenging part of being on a team like this and being in an environment that's like where you're all kind of like forced to reckon with the problem together.
Yeah, I think it's, to be honest, those moments where things do go wrong, where it's, a very late night. I remember very recently there was a very late night that, we were in our kind of space where we work and we wanted to do testing. And it was just like, oh, when are we going to do testing? In an hour. An hour later, when are we going to do testing? Oh, in an hour. Like it was that kind of night. Like people were there working. And it was still a fun environment. Like everyone was like yapping and like we were trying to encourage each other. But, clearly things weren't going the way we wanted them to. And then later, we did eventually get testing done, like maybe 2 days later. And even then, the data didn't come out the way we wanted it to. So it's just like, even though we have those moments of like collaboration and just like really committed to that, sometimes it just doesn't work out. Like we can't happily skip our way through every issue. Like we're going to run into problems. Like sometimes the data won't come out right. Sometimes we won't be able to test. Sometimes, something will break on the track at the competition. Very hard moments, especially as a team, because some people may look to blame others. Some people may be blaming themselves. It's definitely a moment where things can, all crash down because, you just don't know how to deal with this. But again, going back to kind of establishing that collaboration and communication beforehand makes it so that those moments are like moments that you can get through. So whether it's through, blasting music and, having some snacks and some Celsius, which we're actually sponsored by, but having some Celsius or something like that to get you through, or, being able to be like, yo, I think I messed this up. Can you help me out here? Like people are, always willing to help you out, whether you have questions or something isn't going wrong. I've been seeing collaborations between people of different sub teams. Like I know Autonomy has been helping us so much with our acquisition project, which I, shout out to them for that. And just having that kind of atmosphere and like expectation beforehand of having that collaboration makes it easier to get through those like really tough moments, because they do happen. Like it's not all sunshine and rainbows. So yeah, I gotta keep it real. Remember what I said, keep it real. But it's still like a very important growing experience, and it's something that you experience everywhere. Like in a class, something goes wrong, like you fail an exam, or like an interview goes wrong. Like things are always gonna go wrong. So like being able to push yourself through that, and then like the added part of collaborating with the rest of the team in that aspect and making sure that we don't all like drag ourselves down is definitely something interesting that I didn't really know about until I was in there. So that's been very eye-opening.
That's great. And I really want to just like commend you for like even like taking on such a project like EV. Like
thank you.
A lot of people would just get so scared, and like when people hear the word like data, like their brains are just like they fly
Oh, that
away.
was me
Because
though. I get it, absolutely.
I know some people are just like, no, I can't do it. And so, girl, shout out to you. That is
Nah,
so great.
thank you.
You're doing so
Thank you,
much
thank
great
you.
stuff, and I
Thank
love it
you.
so
Like
much.
genuinely. Nah, shout out to you. This is like why I keep going, is to like the support and the encouragement of people like you. Like I cannot emphasize enough like how like I'm able to talk about these things a little more easily, especially thanks to the very lovely environment I'm in right now. But at the end of the day, there's been very hard moments for me. I've definitely cried multiple times at this school. I definitely thought that I wasn't, enough in terms of being able to complete this degree or go into technology or anything. A lot of anxiety over exams and, applications and interviews. Like, I've faced it all. And, like, it's crazy. Like, we all kind of see surface level things and we're like, oh, yeah, they all got it figured out. And that's something I've always thought too, until I went through it myself and I realized there might be someone looking at me and thinking, yeah, she got it all figured out. This was all like talent or something she had beforehand. And no, definitely not. Genuinely, if there's anything I would want anyone to take away from this, is that like anyone can do this. It is genuinely like fully possible through like pure like hard work and grit and determination and just like a just complete utter belief in yourself. Like there has been moments where I felt very, very low and like just unsure of myself and like my place here. But I just remember like how much I enjoy what I do and how much I want to apply everything I've learned, especially to give back to my communities. And I just so badly want, like, I'm gonna get it, like it's definitely hard. Like it's easier said than done, but you have to keep telling yourself that, like in those dark moments, those tough nights where you just are like you have a long night ahead of you, so much work to do, or just any moment like that. It's just you have to keep telling yourself like it's gonna get better, and it does get better. Like there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So I really want to emphasize like genuinely put yourself out there. Like you're only gonna grow, you're only gonna get better, and take like as much advantage as possible of the people around you, the resources, especially like in places like Cornell. Like I never thought I could be here, but like not trying to waste my time here and make sure that I'm engaging with all this instead of sitting there and being like, dang, that person's really smart, I'm gonna have to go interact with them to figure out how they are that way, like putting yourself out there in that sense and just putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations and spaces so that you can be like the person that you imagine yourself to be. So like trust, like you can do it. If I could do it, anyone can do it. Trust. Like, oh my gosh,
You stole that last question literally right out of my mouth. I was like,
I felt it coming. I'm not gonna lie.
You just felt it. I guess we're just on the same wavelength today, guys. Like, thank you. Right, we're so locked in today. Anyways, that is going to conclude today's episode. I'd like to thank Ruth for coming on my show so very, very much and talking about electric vehicles and Cornell's trauma bonding tendencies and all the things that it means to be, co-president of URMC. And I would like to thank all of you guys for watching this episode. Anyway, now that we have reached the end, you guys know what to do. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe. Everything that you can do to help support the channel and make sure that other coders of color get this information too. With that, this is Elsie signing off.